Welcome
Sounds
back,
good.
everyone. This is episode number 4 now of Beyond the Bat. Third guest. Won't get too deep into an introduction, but national champion Charlie Taylor. How you doing today, man?
Yeah, man. I appreciate the introduction. I'm repping the Omaha
Of course.
gear, but yeah, I'm glad to be here. Glad to have a little convo with you.
Awesome, awesome. Just to start, just introduce yourself, who you are, where'd you go to school, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Atlanta, Georgia. Sent out a bunch of emails my sophomore year of high school before the coaches could even contact you. And Tennessee got to me through one of my travel ball coaches, Coach Elander. He was my basically the reason I went to Tennessee. He's a catcher. He's a hard worker. So he really basically just sold me on the vision that he and Coach Vitello had for the program and my part in that vision. And I wanted to go to a place that I felt like would fight for me to get on the field and be a part of their vision for the future. And that really checked all the boxes for me. So a diehard Georgia Bulldog fan, went up to wear Tennessee
Yeah.
orange. And I caught there for 4 years. Was more of a defense first catcher, but could poke one out of the yard every now and then. And then I wrapped up the my last game. Last time I've touched a bat actually is when we won the whole thing in 2024, and now I'm doing commercial real estate in Nashville, Tennessee.
Awesome. But yeah, that's a fantastic way to go out. Just natty champs with a ring on your finger. That's pretty sick. Kind of before we get into everything, I want to hear your side on kind of how we met and how your experience was when you were living with me.
Yeah, so after my let's see, that would have been after my sophomore
Yeah,
year.
sophomore.
Everybody everybody dreams of growing up and playing in the SEC and then the Cape Cod League, and you know oh, I'll go up there and get so much exposure and get drafted. Well, I got to the Cape Cod League, swung at 6 pitches, missed all 6 of them, 2 strikeouts, and got yanked. And I called Coach Elander, Tennessee, and I was like, "We're gonna have to make something. We're gonna have to make a change here. I need to go somewhere where I'm playing more often, somewhere where I can just be part of a team and get reps because I hadn't been playing a ton at that point in my career." So I go to the NECBL. Shout out to the Northeast Collegiate Baseball League, I think is what it's called.
New England.
New England, got it
Yeah.
wrong.
Hey, you got the
But
initials right though.
that's right. And played for the North Shore Navigators, where I stayed with you and your family. You graciously took me in when you weren't really expecting to.
Nope,
And
not at all.
me and Ty Dooley almost we were talking about before recording, almost went back to back
Yeah.
national championships for um, guys that were hosted at the Kane
Yep.
household. So no, I appreciate you and your family and everything you did for me that summer, and I couldn't have asked for a better landing spot.
Good. Yeah. Yeah, I was really like skeptical at first, like when we were going into it. Um, just because like we did it when I was younger. But it's like different when you're young, you're like looking up to these kids. But then like I don't want to like disrupt like your schedule and stuff, but I want to make sure like you're still having a good summer. Um, but when you came in, I was like, yeah, I freaking love this kid already from our first interaction. Like, you're so kind and just weren't shy. You were I wouldn't say super extroverted, but you were gracious to me. So I really appreciate how you treated me while you stayed with us. So, um, we'll kind of go into your journey with baseball. Kind of talk about little league and the travel ball, and then like a little bit about high school. How did the love for ball start for you?
Yeah, I mean it was definitely my dad at first, and then just being a little kid, I loved any sport that had a ball or a bat or anything I could throw. So, but I was naturally just better at baseball than the others from the start. But did rec league for a while, and then my dad and a couple other parents thought that we had maybe outgrown the rec league, or we needed to play against some other competition. So we put together a little travel team called the Dunwoody Dragons, and that was a fun group for a couple years. then I played for a team called the Georgia Roadrunners, and that's the most, as a little kid, that's the most fun I had playing baseball, probably just because we would stay at our coach's house sometimes. He would drive us to games. Like it was just a motley crew, but 14 or 15 of your best friends playing all these tournaments, 2 or 3 games a day, whatever it was. So I really enjoyed that period of travel ball before it turned into something more serious of showcases and all that nonsense. But yeah, so like I said earlier, got recruited to go to Tennessee, and then once I got to Tennessee, I probably wasn't an SEC level talent, at least on offense, maybe, but I felt like that just being a good teammate, being a good dude, and really having the key asset of being a good defensive catcher allowed me to get on the field in situations that maybe I didn't have the talent to be out there, but I really enjoyed every opportunity that I got and feel like I took advantage of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think a lot of younger kids can take a lot from being a great teammate from you. Just like once we got to know each other and you go back to school and I was down here, just like hearing interviews and seeing stuff on social media, everyone talks so highly about you being a team guy. I think a lot of younger kids need to hear that, especially at the SEC level. They think everyone's kind of fending for themselves just to see the field and stuff. So I think a lot of kids can take a lot from your story. Um, Kind of talk about the talent level in Georgia high school baseball because I know now with like Perfect Game and stuff, but there's a lot of talent in your area. Kind of go in depth on the guys that you kind of had to face in your high school career.
Yeah, I mean that was one of the benefits of growing up in the Metro Atlanta area is all it felt like all the big tournaments were at Lake Point, the Perfect Game complex over there. So, it was a 45-minute drive max to go play against all the best guys, whether they were from Metro Atlanta or not. But to your point, I mean the talent pool in Atlanta is and Georgia in general is pretty absurd, whether it was a guy like Corey Collins at North Gwinnett, him and Josh Schuler and a couple others were on some of those North Gwinnett teams. Um, Corey ended up going to Georgia to be a catcher, which is probably why they wanted nothing to do with me. But let's see. I'm trying to think of other guys in high school, younger guys like a Dylan Lesko.
Yeah.
Um, he through East Cobb had the opportunity to play up, and I want to say he's probably 2 years, 2 grades younger than me, or maybe one. But I'm facing him at East Cobb. I'm facing guys like Brady House, another guy who didn't make it to college. And then like I said earlier, the groups like a Team Elite or I'm blanking on some of the other names, maybe a Georgia Jackets,
Yeah.
East Top. They'll bring in guys too to where it's the best guys from Georgia and then guys from surrounding states who also can really play ball. So I don't know. There's not many better places in the country to be than the Southeast and specifically Georgia for just playing the best competition.
Yep. Teammate of Drew Jones, right?
That yeah, I don't know how I left him out. He was my center fielder in high school. Plays just like his dad.
Yeah.
Just kind of glides out there, and um, yeah, he's. It's only a matter of time until he gets developed and the
Yeah.
big system puts some more muscle on. Maybe he's gonna be a stud.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunate injury, like right off the bat, like that's something that just sucks. Like first week with the professional organization and you get hurt. But yeah, matter time before he starts tearing it up in professional baseball. I know you kind of started talking about the recruitment process, um, but kind of go more in depth on what schools you were thinking of, kind of how your coaches played a factor in helping you out with that.
Yeah, so the the team that I mentioned earlier that I was on, the Roadrunners, we had guys that were talented enough to play at the Division 1 level. So sometimes we would interact with coaches through, our head coach had relationships with some of these guys. So there was a little built-in, I guess, network you'd call it there. But the most success that I had and how I ended up getting connected with Tennessee was me and my dad sat down around Christmas time my sophomore year, and I had some perfect game videos or reports that they had written about me, and then I also just had my own contributions. Here's my high school stats, here's what teams I've played for, here's blah blah blah. And we crafted this big email, and pretty much all we did is copy and pasted the email and change the subject line to Tennessee or Kentucky or Virginia, whatever school it was. But I'd say we ended up sending it to about 30 schools, maybe, mostly schools along the East Coast or the Southeast. That I pretty much any school that I thought I might have any interest in talking to or going to school there, and fired off the email. And I want to say, well, first of all, the coaches couldn't reply directly to me at that point. They had to go through one of my coaches, either travel or high school, and we put their numbers in there. And I want to say that there wasn't a single school that reached out to me besides Tennessee. There was maybe a couple that sent back like, "Hey, thanks for the email. Come to camp," or something like that, which is fine. But Coach Elander and Coach Vitello were hustling. They were trying to build something at Tennessee, and for whatever reason, they saw something in me. And I guess I can walk you through a little bit of how that went. I mean, they called me. Coach Elander called me on some night in January, I think it was, and basically on the phone gave me a virtual tour of the field and the facilities, and then what his vision was for it in the future, and what it was going to look like when there was thousands of fans in there and we were winning games. And then he came and watched a high school game. He came and watched another travel game, and then he kind of put the ball in Coach Vitello's court, and he came and watched me, and just it felt like the perfect. I played well every time they showed up. Like the dominoes just kind of fell the right way for me. So after Coach V came and saw me, they officially offered me on my birthday, which was a great birthday present. And me and my dad sat there and thought, okay, if this school offered you, would you go? Or if this school offered you, would you like it more than Tennessee? And eventually we just got to a point where we're like, hey, we think we know that this is a great opportunity. Why are we waiting any longer? Let's go ahead and do it. And going back to what I said earlier, the most important factor was the staff and the people that I was committing to. I knew they were going to look out for me, whether I was, you know, Barry Bonds or whether I was just a not good enough to make the team. I knew that they would look out for me either way. So,
Yeah, I know the first three podcasts that I've done, pretty much everyone has gone to a school based off the relationship with the head coach and knowing that they have full belief in them. And I really want younger kids to hear that. Don't go to a school just because of a name or think you're going to impress your buddies or something. Go to a school that the coach you'd go to war for him. He has full belief in you. You don't have the tail under the legs type deal. Nothing better than 110% belief from a coach. It makes you feel so much better, and I really want kids to hear that because that's the third time it's been said. Kind of go more in depth on Coach Vitello. I know a lot of people, you see him on ESPN and doing podcasts and stuff, and you kind of get a picture of what he is as a person from outside looking in. But kind of just talk about him and the relationship that you guys have.
yeah, I mean, I think a lot of what people see is I mean, at the end of the day, he's in some ways he's a salesman, right? He's trying to get kids to commit to his school, to commit to his vision that he has for the program. So a lot of what he's doing is marketing the program when he does interviews or whatever it is. But then in between the lines, you see his passion, and I don't. I think if you were to say that there's another coach in college baseball who has the level of passion and the level of, wanting to win that Coach Vitello does, at least from the outside, I think you're lying to yourself a little bit. It's palpable, it's real how much he wants to win, and when you have a guy like that as your leader of the program, it's if you don't believe in that, then either you fall in line or you get out of there quickly, right? So he really just creates a lot of buy-in from the guys in his program, and like you said, if you put the work in and are willing to show up and commit to the process and the program that he's building, he will in return do anything for you, whether it's personal, on the field, off the field, in life. I when I told him I was coming to Nashville, he was willing to connect me with anybody he knew. He's written me 2 or 3 reference letters. So that's the side that people don't always often see. Like, he is truly one of the greatest dudes I've ever met in my life off the field, nothing to do with baseball. And I think that goes a long way. And yeah, maybe he runs a little hot at times on the field, but he knows how to compete in life and in baseball, and he knows how to be a great teammate in life and in baseball, and those things will take you a long way. And those are honestly, that I've gotten from him, those are my 2 biggest values now, is competition and just being a good teammate.
Yeah, that's awesome. Because I know a lot of people on the outside looking in think that he's a little crazy. I kind of assume like just hearing him really talk like he does care about you guys because I know even 5, 6 years ago, no one was thinking of Tennessee of being a team that's going to Omaha every year, and then now you guys have a natty and pretty much in the top 10 every year. So that's really good to hear from you. Kind of going more into you getting on campus. Kind of talk about your freshman and sophomore year, because I know you necessarily weren't playing right away. Kind of just talk about just trying to fight and claw your way onto the field because you guys had some freaking dogs when you were there. So kind of
Yeah.
depth on that.
Yeah, it's getting to be a tougher environment, especially with baseball too. I feel for a lot of these kids because you used to be able to carry a lot more guys on your roster, even if they weren't, in the lineup every day. But now there's more scholarships available, but there's also less overall spots
Yeah.
available. So there's a lot of guys on the fringe that might be getting squeezed out. But I had no idea when I committed there and signed my scholarship. Like, I thought I was going to start from day one, and then I was going to go to the major leagues after 3 years. Like, you're just naive as a high school senior. You think you're the most awesome person on the planet, but you show up and you're like, crap, I got to make the team first, right? There's no guarantee after one fall that the coaching staff wants you back, or if they do want you back, that you even played well enough to earn that spot. So I had no idea that was, even possible. But yeah, man, just from the time I got there, that there are very few Mike Trouts and Ronald Acuna's. There are not many of those in the world. To use a Tennessee example, there's not many Christian Moores or Blake Burks, and you know chances are you're not going to be one of those guys. So how are you going to separate yourself from the pack? And like I've mentioned a couple times, the ways that I did that is being a good teammate, taking care of everything off the field, so that hey, I might not be the number one guy on the depth chart, so I'm not going to give them a reason outside of baseball, extracurricular stuff, to pull me off the field, without having anything to do with my on-field abilities. So that, and then like I've mentioned, just working your tail off. I mean, you're gonna have to find a way to contribute to the field in a way that's valuable enough to get on the field. So that could be through your, you know, you become a great hitter, maybe you become a great bunter, and you get thrown into a couple situations when you need somebody to lay down a bunt. For me, it was being a good defender, your speed. So there's a couple of different ways you could do it, but you have to find what you bring to the table that is valuable enough to get you in the lineup. So I don't know if I answered your question perfectly there, but that's kind of the way that I went about it.
No, no, that's awesome. That's a great way to go about it. Because I think a lot of kids think they just need the full package because they see, like you said, that you see a guy like a Blake Burke or Christian Moore, or you see someone like that, and they have everything sort of. Like obviously they work hard, but they have the intangibles. So that's really good to hear. Like the way to get on the field is just do something good. You need one part of your game that is good, because it'll give you more opportunities. So that's really good to hear from you. Um, you win a national championship, but the couple years before that, kind of go in depth on how you guys were so close, but you just couldn't get over the top until that last year that you were there.
Yeah, baseball is such a brutal sport sometimes because a lot of times the best team doesn't end up winning the whole thing, especially in college. I mean, you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. So it's like I said, the best team doesn't always win the whole thing. And if you measure yourself just on where your season ended up, that's gonna be, and just in life, if you're only results oriented, then you're gonna have a pretty crappy view of yourself and your identity and your self-worth. So, obviously those first couple seasons, we were building something with crazy momentum, and it felt like we were knocking on the door over and over again, and that, the 22 season losing to Notre Dame at home, that was heartbreaking. I mean, I believe that was, if it's not the best college baseball team ever assembled, it's right there.
Yeah,
So,
100%,
so
100%.
I mean, but yeah, that's just we didn't get it done, and that stung in 2022 when it happened, and it still stings now. But the we that team did so much more outside of just where we ended up than, it's not, I don't think any of us look back and think, man, that was a terrible time in my life. I think that was, for a lot of us, it was maybe the most fun we've ever had playing the game we love, the greatest team that we've ever been on, in terms of nothing to do with on the field, just how we interacted with each other. And we brought so many people to the game, right? That hadn't been huge college baseball fans before. So I guess what I'm getting at is it's tough if you just measure yourself on the wins and losses, and we all want to compete, right? And that's, winning is a huge part of life. If you're doing the right things over and over again and you have good habits, you're gonna stack up some wins. But I guess where I'm getting at is those teams did a lot of stuff and built a lot of momentum that kind of culminated with the 2024 team. So yeah.
Yeah, that's. I remember me and Ty, and then Gannon was there before you got there. We were watching that Notre Dame Super, and we were just like, "How did this team not make it?" Like that team is definitely going to go down as the best team in college baseball to not win a Natty. And I'm so happy that you ended up getting it at the end because I think that would have sucked pretty bad if you did not get it after.
Yeah, no doubt.
Drew Gilbert, I know you're kind of pretty good friends with him. Is he like that 24/7? Because he's starting to blow up a little now with Matt Chapman and stuff on TikTok. And I was actually showing my girlfriend the video of him mic'd up before one of the games, and she thought it was freaking hilarious. So is he like that all the time?
Yeah, he probably doesn't need a mic in his hands ever again for something that's going out on social media. I mean, he is just, the thing that I always tell people is, yes, he is like that, but off the field too, he's the greatest dude of all time. Like, just an unbelievable friend, teammate, just a great guy to have around. And well, some people talk about like Diego Pavia, the quarterback at
Yeah.
Vandy. is a polarizing figure, and he's very confident outwardly, and that rubs people the wrong way. Well, I bet if you ask anybody in Vandy's football locker room, you know, what do you think of Pavia? Is he cool to have on your team? I bet they all love him because, speaking from my experience, the experience of going into battle with a guy like Drew Gilbert, you look at him and he's doing his antics, doing whatever he does, being a weirdo, and you're like, if this guy is this confident, then what am I doing not believing in myself or my team? Like the belief and confidence and swagger that he brings to an organization is truly like game changing. And I think Coach V said that when Drew got drafted originally by the Astros, he was like, this guy, outside of just the baseball ability, is good enough as a human being to change the entire culture of your organization. And so that's his biggest asset in my ability, or in my mind. Like it, you know, if he goes 4 for 4 or 0 for 4, whatever, but just the confidence and the belief that he instills in a clubhouse is infectious. And you know, other teams might not love that, but when you get a chance to be around the guy, you realize that one, he's truly a great dude, and two, he wants to compete, he wants to win, and if you can't respect that, then there's probably something a little wrong with you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I bet because you didn't just see it like from outside perspective, just like the way they kind of gravitate around him, even being a younger guy in Major League Baseball. So that, yeah, that's, it makes sense that he's a really good dude because you can have all that antics and stuff, and if you're not a good guy, like outside of it, it really doesn't matter. So 100% that makes sense. That checks out. Um, Kind of going back into more you getting up and playing at Tennessee, what advice would you give to a kid who truly wants to play either high level Division 1 baseball or in the SEC? Because I know you just can't do it based off talent alone. So
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, is going back to my point earlier. There's the way it works now with the recruiting classes are getting smaller and smaller because the roster size limits and all that. There's going to be, let's say there's a recruiting class of 10. There's going to be one, maybe two of those guys who step on the campus and are ready from day one to jump in the starting lineup or get on the mound and be in the weekend rotation or come out of the bullpen. So, like, if you're one of those guys, awesome. That's great for you. You know, you, not like we said, not saying that you didn't work, but you know, you have a lot of talent that can carry you a long way. But for the other 80 or 90% of us, you've got to find a way to make yourself valuable enough to get on the field, and that might not happen on day one, right? So I redshirted. I was the bullpen catcher for all of year one, but you know what? That allowed me to travel with the team
yeah,
to all the away games, and I'm really proud of that, and I think that had a huge effect on my career, right? So it's not necessarily about, oh my gosh, I have to play from day one, and that's tougher now with the transfer portal era. But man, if you can go to a program and truly buy into the development that they're offering you, the resources they have, if you're at one of these programs in top level Division 1 or SEC, that at no other time in your life are you going to have this many people pouring into you and focused on solely on your development, right? Whether it's nutrition, weight room, take field and ground balls, hitting BP, whatever it is, right? So it's easy nowadays to want to jump around and go to the shiny new toy or the new school, right? But if you really buy in and develop yourself, I think that's the and build the relationships where you're at. I think that's the best way to do it. I know that's uncommon now, but that's how I did it, and that's how others. You know, my teammate Xander Sechrist, another Georgia guy, a lefty, no hate, but he's a lefty, not really breaking 90 all the time. Um, Probably nowadays maybe might not get recruited to an SEC school. Well, he's up there throwing Game 3 of the College World Series for us getting the win, right? So, he's a guy that threw in a lot of midweeks, threw in a lot of situations where maybe he was itching for more responsibility, more opportunities, but he just sat there and developed and was a good dude, and it worked out for him. So, I think that's my biggest advice is finding a program that you believe in, and then just showing up and developing yourself not only as a baseball player but a human being.
Yeah, I even think that's like really good advice for kid who ends up on Division 2 roster, Division 3 NAIA, JUCO. Because I know my sophomore year, we had a huge recruitment class. With COVID my freshman year and just like the rules of Vermont, we only had like 25 guys on the roster my freshman year. And we started off with like 35 in the fall. And then going into my sophomore year, we more than doubled our roster. So we ended up going into our spring season with 50 guys. And pretty much, I look down the dugout. We're playing right down the road in Winter Garden. Um, and I look down the dugout, and pretty much every freshman is sitting on the bench upset that they weren't playing. And I think it's just really good advice that it might not happen right away. You need to kind of have a realization like it's not just going to be given to you. You have to work. Because, like, I was fortunate. I was a freshman that got to go in and play right away. I also worked hard. Um, also, Division 3 baseball. So I felt like in my mind, I thought I could have played at a higher level. But you don't know that until you show up. But I think a lot of kids out there need to realize like it's not you just don't just because a coach wants you doesn't mean you just show up on campus and play because it just does not work that way at all. Every coach has, like you said earlier, they're salesmen. They want you to get on campus because they're trying to build something because it's their livelihood out for stake. That's really good to hear. I think my little cousin needs to hear that too. So that's really good to get from you. Um, Alrighty, let's get into some more fun questions now that we kind of got a baseline. Go-to spot for food in Knoxville.
Chivo, it's a Mexican spot, Mexican joint with the best chips and queso in town. That's my spot.
Any others?
Stock and Barrel has really good burgers. I think I hit a home run one time after eating a burger there, so that's a memorable spot. And then I used to love Fieldhouse Social, but they just shut down. But yeah, Chivo, Stock and Barrel, those are my two.
Did you like ever go to bed with like Rocky Top stuck in your head after just you guys hit like a billion home runs in a game?
Yeah, I mean, I think I eventually just got numb to it, and it was just kind of like background noise for me. I didn't even notice it. So I think that's a good thing.
Because I was watching the Georgia game, and just the amount of times it was played, I was like, "Holy crap!" It's just like Florida State when they do their fight song and it gets played
Yeah.
over and over again. I was like, "It's gonna be stuck in my head for 5 years if I was there." Um, what was your coolest experience at Tennessee outside of going to Omaha and winning a Natty?
Outside of that, let's see. This is a non-baseball one, but the Tennessee have been, knocking at the door in football forever too, and the crazy game in I think it was I guess fall of 2021 where we had Hendon Hooker and we upset Alabama for
Oh
the
yeah, yeah, that's
first time in 15 or 20 years, and all of us ran down on the field, and I had no part in taking the goalpost to the river, but I was down there, so
yeah, that's awesome. Cause I remember seeing the picture after that of like the smoke in the air from everyone in
yeah,
their cigars. Yeah, that was
yep,
really cool. You are a Braves fan, right? You're a Braves fan. Yes, that's what I
yeah.
thought. What is your Braves Mount Rushmore?
Oh man, that's a tough question. Chipper's got to be on there. I wore number 10 growing up because of Chipper Jones, so he's on there for sure. Brian McCann, I was a catcher, a little kid. I looked up to Brian McCann. Let's see. Let's go. I mean, we got to put Andrew Jones on there, right? played with Drew in high school. And then gotta put one of the pitchers on there. Let's go John Smoltz. He's still in Atlanta a lot, and you know, was a excellent pitcher for the Braves.
Were you more of a fan of Turner Field, or do you like Truist better?
I like Truist a lot.
Yeah, that's one place I need to get to, because I went to the new Globe Life in Arlington, and that place was. And everyone says it's up there with like Truist, so I really want
Yeah,
to go Truist because I've never
yeah.
been. Would you rather go 4 for 4 in a game or throw out 4 runners in a game?
I mean, I'll 4 for 4 in a game probably is well. I don't know. That's tough. Depends on if you're hitting homers or what it is, but I'd probably say 4 for 4. But I don't know that I ever threw out 4 runners in a game. That's a pretty special day.
Yeah, that's why I put it. I thought you were gonna say the 4 runners because I know you're
Yeah,
a defense guy. That's what I was
yeah,
expecting to hear, honestly. But it's good to hear the 4 for 4 because I would say 4 for 4.
yeah.
I'll take 4 for 4. That's a real. Not saying throwing out 4 runners in a game isn't making an impact. Obviously, it is, but going 4 for 4 helps.
And I
Um,
mean, that's just a great personal feeling too,
yeah.
So,
Who is your Tennessee baseball Mount Rushmore? So going to that on Tennessee instead of the Braves now.
I'll go with, a couple older and a couple more recent. I'll go Drew Gilbert and Christian Moore from recent years. I mean that I feel bad saying two of my teammates because there's so many other ones that I'm leaving out, but I just whatever. But then we'll go Chris Burke and Todd Helton
Yeah.
from a little earlier than my time.
Yeah, I was definitely expecting to hear Todd Helton. Um, I know you are a Stranger Things guy. So are you excited about new season coming up and who's your favorite character?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. We watched that when I
Yeah,
was staying as with your family, and I don't know when is it October or November? When is it coming?
November, I think.
Okay. I don't know. I like I I I don't like the bad guy Vecna, right? That's his
Yeah.
name. But he's every scene that he's in is interesting. So that feels wrong to say he's my favorite character, but I like the scenes that he's in. So.
Yeah, I agree. Did you see the trailer for this new season?
No, I haven't.
It's it's really cool.
All right, well, I better get locked in then.
Yeah. That is all my questions. Kind of flew through that actually. Um, but it's good. It was good to just catch up and hear from you. Um, oh no, I missed one actually. Do you ever see yourself getting back into the game of baseball?
Yeah, I would love to. I honestly, I've thought about giving catching lessons because I think being a good defensive catcher is such a great way to get on the field and make an impact for your team. So I've thought about that. Um, there was a second where I thought maybe I would want to coach collegiately, but I think I'm talented in other areas and I want to have do something else for a while. But 100% whether it's my kid one day or just down the line when I've got a little more free time, I would love to coach. Um, Maybe at the high school level, I don't know exactly what it would look like, but for sure, I want to have an impact on the next generation.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll kind of wrap up on uh kind of want to get more in depth for younger kids. This is more what it's more geared towards, I think, in my opinion. Um, Definitely because when I was like 12 or 13, I feel like I would really have appreciated something like this, hearing stories of kids who played at a high level or are going to play at a high level or a professional, and just showcase that you guys are relatable. Um, because you see people on social media and you just think they're living this just like perfect, most amazing, like they don't work hard, they're just kind of giving everything. Do you have any advice to just the younger kids out there, just at all, just about baseball, life, anything? It doesn't have to, just any advice for our next generation.
Um, yeah, I mean that's a good question. Just while I'm kind of stalling and thinking of some stuff, a first thing I would say is really invest in everything that has to do with your baseball performance outside of just the physical stuff. So whether it's visualization, visualizing yourself having success on the field before you go out there and do it, that's important for your belief and your confidence in who you are as a player, right? And that translates to other aspects of life. And then taking care of stuff, starting early on stuff like hydration, sleep, nutrition, diet, whatever it is, recovery, because they do a lot of that in college, right? But if you can start as early as possible on that stuff, you've got a leg up for sure. And then I would just say, in whatever you're doing, if sometimes you can get overwhelmed by a moment, or, oh, there's a lot of people watching me here. This coach is here to see me. This is a big situation. What if I don't get it done, right? If you just focus on trying to win the game and trying to be a good teammate, it solves a lot of those problems, right? In whatever you're doing. So that's my biggest thing, is really just learn how to be present, how to be where your feet are, and just compete. And that's going to solve 99% of your worries and anxieties.
Yeah, that's awesome. Great way to end it. But Charlie, I truly appreciate you being on. Really thankful for you being on. Um, it was amazing spending the time with you when you were with me. You're definitely, you and Ty are two of the best host brothers I could ever ask for. So I appreciate you hopping on the pod with me this week. Everyone, thank you for Charlie, and we'll see you all next week.